talk about talk about chapter 1 and go through that today, because that's going to be like just give us an overview of the entire system and everything. Then next week we can talk about chapter 2, because that's an important chapter for us to talk about, just in general, about switching out your habits and
Hmm.
everything. And it's a very powerful one. Essentially, I'm going to suggest that we skip chapter 3, because that is the overview of the different steps and stuff. Um, and then just dive into the 4 sections and go through those sections and just talk about those sections. And
Okay,
hopefully, this will be a short series that
a mini
people can
series
just go back and listen to over and over and over again, instead of like our other ones, which are take forever.
where we dive into every word.
Well, and
Um, I love it.
I suspect that we can dive into like specific sections and words and stuff on here, but I honestly, I this is one of those one of those things where I feel like he talks a lot more than he really needs to,
Yeah,
about stuff.
that's 100%. And his sections are organized well,
Yes.
and his examples are organized well. And this is one where I would really, I mean, I recommend everybody get all the books we've talked about so far. But this one, if you had to choose between the audiobook and the actual book, I would say get the book because there's so many charts and tables
Yeah.
and it's well organized. And if this is speaking to you, if this content is speaking to you as like you feel like it could be a solution to help you advance more rapidly, then I would really recommend the book over the audio on this one.
Hmm.
That's my
Absolutely.
2 cents. And I like, yeah, the sections are organized well, so we can go through that. There's not that many sections. What, 5 sections? Fundamentals, 4 laws,
Yep.
something like that.
Yeah, and like like I said, I think chapter 1 and 2 we can do as 2 episodes, and then the 4 we can do on their own. And if we there's a section called Advanced Tactics, which would be nice to go through just like briefly, but at the same time, to be honest, if you're not if you're not really if you're just getting started to all of this, and you're just getting into building all of these new habits and stuff, then it's not a good section for you. It's better to just go through these. The big thing that I like is, I'm going to show this at the towards the end of the book. He has this section where he breaks down all of the habits, and
Hmm.
I love it because you can just go back and review it. Um, it's really good. He also goes through the book. Within the book, he talks about bad habits, because a lot of the things that we want to do. Okay, let's actually start diving into chapter 1 as I talk about this. So one of the big things that we often do, and we often start out every year with, is making these big resolutions, right? Like, hey, we're this year I'm going to lose pounds, or I'm going to lose weight. Like, that's the resolution. First off, it's usually just like this vague notion of, I'm going to do X. um and that's just okay. That's fine, but the problem with that is it's such a big, huge, vague goal that the question becomes, okay, where do you start? Right.
Yeah. Another example for that is this is what I get a lot of people because I do a lot of coaching. They're like, I'm going
Oh yeah, you
to.
do.
They're like, I want to make $500,000 this year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. How you going to do that? Well, I'm going to get 200 customers, and each customer is going to pay me an average 5,000. I'm like, okay, how you going to do that? And then they're like, well, I'm going to do this, this, and this. I'm like, okay, still, you're thinking without any perspective, right? You need to really
Yep.
break it down into the atomic activities that you're going to do to
Yep.
relate it back to this book, and to then let your activities drive your success,
Hmm.
because you cannot control who's going to pay you, right?
Hmm.
All you can control is how you present, the quality of your presentation, the quality and value you bring to the table, and how well you message that, and hopefully to see if it's a market fit or not.
It's very true.
So that was my jumping into it. I hope it was kind of
I
meaningful.
mean, to take your to do a little hard example. What I did at the beginning of this year, actually towards the end of last year, is so I was thinking about this new business that I've been working on and doing, and I said, okay, in 5 years, I want the business to be making 200,000 a year essentially. So what I did is I said, all right, in year five, I want that year five to make 200K, and I said, okay, cool. I went back and I said, all right, in year four, what do I need to do? Okay, well, I need to do about half that, because the idea being each year I double. So I said, okay, then in year four, I need to make 100K. In year three, I said, all right, now I need to be making 50K. In year two, it needs to be 25K. And then I said, all right, in year one, that means I need to make $12,500. So this year, 2023, my business needs to make $12,500 to put me on track to me making 500 or to be making $200,000 in year five. Now, here's the thing, and this is kind of going off of what Phil was talking about with his coaching, with people being like, this year I'm going to make $500,000. Like, well, have you ever had any customers before? Because that was the thing that I had to ask myself too. Like, okay, I've never had any customers with this. I've never sold anything like this with this business and everything. So that's why I broke this all down. I said, okay, to make 12,500, I just broke it all down, and now each month I have revenue goals that I need to make. The first, and this is you're gonna like everybody. You will all laugh, but in January my revenue goal was $3, and that was it. My
Killed it.
revenue, what?
And you killed it.
I did. That's the funny. My revenue goal for February is $6. My revenue for February goal for February is March, et cetera, et cetera. Like I'm doubling every month because the idea was I don't know how to make a sale doing this business. I have no idea. None. So I made it as small as possible. I made the goal super small. Like I took the big goal and I broke it all the way down to a really small goal. And I was like, okay, what is the little incremental change that I can make this month, the goal that I can make this month that will get me a step further, a step closer to the next month. Now the funny part is the way I did all the pricing structure and such with my new business and everything. All I really needed to do was make one sale, and all I really needed to do this month is make one sale. But the idea is that if I can make one sale and make another sale, like I can start learning and working how to compound that and build that out. Because what we're talking about and what Phil's kind of getting at is the idea of small incremental changes that you can make each day to bring you there. There's this concept that James Clear brings up right off the bat of talking about getting 1% better every day. So the example he gives right off the bat is the British cycling team. What happened to them is they had never gotten a gold medal in anything since like 1908.
Actually, they
Um,
were so bad,
Go
the
for it.
local bike specialty shop wouldn't sell to them.
Hmm. It's
Can you imagine
just
being that bad? Like, I'm sorry,
yeah,
I know you're British, you're beautiful people. I will not sell to you because I will not be able to sell anything ever again.
yep, exactly, exactly. Like that's bad.
Yeah, that's bad. When you're that bad.
What they did, it's just so what they did is they hired this guy. His name is I'm going to screw up his name. I bet his
Yeah,
name is
try.
Dave Brailsford.
Brailsford is what I got out of it.
Yeah, and he approached it from a perspective of making incremental changes in the team each and every day, not massive, huge leaps and bounds and things like that. Just but like little incremental changes each day to get better with the team. So where is this? Oh, here it is. So for example, this is kind of what's interesting too is they redesigned the bike seats so that they were comfortable and rub alcohol on the tires for better grip.
Hope they didn't use bourbon.
I well,
I mean, like,
I mean,
I like bourbon, but seriously, I'd feel sad putting on the tires. I think that's a
oh
little
yeah.
sacrilegious.
They did stuff to like maintain the ideal muscle temperature. They had different fabrics that they tried for indoor and outdoor stuff. They like it was all these little changes, everything that
Right
each
down
day
to their sleeping patterns, what pillows they
yeah,
use, what mattresses, painting the inside of the transportation trucks white so they could see dust.
isn't that smart?
That's insane.
Yeah, that's obsessive,
Right? Right? So I love it.
and
I am a big
that's
fan of compulsive disorders
because you have one.
because I am one. Uh,
You are one.
I am a compulsive disorder, and whoever really truly understands me has become one themselves. Um,
Oh dear God, what does that say about me?
I think it's obvious. Um, which podcast is this, by the way?
I'm an enabler. That's what it
Congratulations,
said.
you're an enabler. You're almost
I
like a
enable.
trafficker. Um,
Yeah.
you're an enabler when you keep it in the house. When you force it to the world, you become a trafficker, or a dealer. Um, I almost saw coffee come out of your nose.
I'm glad I didn't take a drink when I did.
Yeah, I was close. I could see it coming.
It was close.
Um,
That's all very true. Okay, so what did
but
this
to
do?
the Olympics.
What did this do for
We're to the
them?
Olympics.
It says right here, just 5 years after he took over, the British cycling team dominated the road and track cycling events in the 2008 Olympics, where they won an astounding 60% of the gold medals available for them. So in just like 4 years, he turned around the entire a team that had been losing for over 100 years and made it like that much better. So that right there is just the power and the idea of these compound these small incremental changes that lead to compounding. The way he likes to talk about it is essentially like compound interest. Excuse me. Um, I don't know if anybody is into banking or finance or anything like that. You know, you kind of know what compound interest is, but the idea is I don't fully understand it to be able to explain it. All I really know is that the formula is essentially if you put money into an account that gains compound interest, about every 7 years, that account, the amount in that account doubles. So if you put in if you put into $100 into an account like that, and you don't add
Rule of
anything,
72.
what?
You're talking about the rule of 72.
Yeah, yep. You put $100 into an account and then 7 years later and you don't continue to add anything in, basically it means that 7 years after you depositing that $100 is 200, and then 7 years after that it's 400, and then 7 years after that it's 800, etc., etc., etc. If anyway, that's what Phil refers to as the rule of 72, which I don't really remember what that rule is. I just, like I said, I just remember the every 7 years it doubles part. So the idea, so what he's talking about here is it's just like these tiny little changes that you just invest in every single day are going to lead to this big, massive change later on in your life. And there's a really good chart here. I'm going to show it on the camera. So if you're listening to this, right there, that chart.
So what I like about that chart is if I get worse, I'm likely never to get very bad.
What do you mean by
But I
that?
have the chance to become incredibly amazing.
Oh yeah.
Like you can only get worse so fast, right? But you can get amazing really quickly. That's what I got from that chart.